With a test average of just 35, does Shubman Gill even deserve to feature in India's test playing 11, let alone be the captain of this side?
With the recent retirements of Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, there's been a lot of conversations about who the next Indian test captain is going to be, especially with the England series coming soon. Now, a lot of people have talked about a lot of names like Jasprit Bumrah, Rishab Pant, Rahul, and even Shubman Gill, who seems like the front runner at this point. Before we talk about all of these players and if they deserve to be the test captain or not, hit that subscribe button.
When we think about captaincy, we often look at it as a job that happens only on the field of cricket. Of course, there is preparation involved off the field of cricket as well, but not in the way that you might think, where it might have solely to do with strategy. At the highest level, there are a lot of other commitments that the captains need to take care of. Some of these being things like pre or post-match press conferences, player management and handling equations with various players, and also just the player's form itself, because it is important for a captain to be consistent.
Now, even on the field, the responsibility goes beyond just selecting the batting order or which bowler needs to bowl when. It's about being able to assess the situation on a given day, especially when the game is going away from you. In a test format, if you're sitting ideal and not taking decisions as and when required, the test match can simply slip away. This is a learning the Indian management needs to take from the Rohit Sharma's test captaincy style. As much as he was a successful white ball captain, in the red ball format, he would just wait until things played out, until it was too late for India to even try winning a match.
Shubman Gill, of course, is the front runner for the position of becoming the Indian test captain. And of course, there are a lot of good qualities in Shubman Gill for why he should be the test captain of this side. Ever since the start of the Gautam Gambhir era, Shubman Gill has definitely been given a push in the direction of leadership. Not only was he made a vice captain in the ODI setup, but he was also briefly the vice captain of the Indian test team. And this means that there were clear plans already from the management's point of view to push Shubman towards a leadership role, essentially preparing him towards being the next Indian captain. Now with Shubman Gill, the conversation has always been about his potential with the bat and how he's the next big thing of Indian cricket. This is something that we've already seen play out in the ODI format, where Shubman Gill has an insane average of 59 and he's been shattering records left, right and center. But when it comes to the red ball format, it's a completely different story. Shubman is still struggling, and this is something that we will get to a little later. But in terms of the captaincy experience that he's already had, he is currently captaining the Gujarat Titans and he has been with the franchise as a captain for the last couple of seasons. So it is safe to say that Gill has leadership experience, but it's just that these are two completely different formats, and it will be interesting to see if Gill can shape up as the captain we expect him to be in that red ball setup. Apart from this, something that we absolutely cannot deny is that Shubman Gill is one of India's rising stars. He is someone who has extremely good brand value and might be a great face for test cricket. He also has age on his side, being just 25 years of age and at least 10 years of career left in front of him.
All of this being said, there's more than one reason for why we think Shubman Gill shouldn't be the next test captain. For starters, Shubman Gill doesn't have the most impressive test numbers. He's played 32 test matches, has an average of 35 and has 500 in his name. Of course, he has a test average of 42 in India, which can be impressive, but then when you look at his overseas record, it's just abysmal. Outside the subcontinent, he's played 13 test matches, yet he has only 2 50s. Now the problem here is Shubman Gill was an opener and now bats at number 3. In the test format, the number 3 position is very important, and since Jan 1st, 2020, Shubman Gill doesn't stand out in any of the numbers. He's not the best against spin, he's not the best against pace in terms of averages or runs. He hasn't scored a lot of runs since Jan 1st, 2020. And if you look at his overall numbers at number 3, he hasn't really done anything to cement his position in the Indian test team. Even if you look at the Border Gavaskar Trophy, he played 3 matches with an average of just 18. Sure, you don't have to be the best batter in the side to be the captain of the team, but you have to do enough to be at least a batter in that squad.
And even if we look at some of India's older captains and how they were before they assumed captaincy for the Indian test squad, something they'd already done was cemented their batting position in that Indian squad before taking over the captaincy. If we think back to Virat Kohli or even Rohit Sharma for that matter, at the periods in which they assumed their captaincy, they were the best batters in the test squad. Not only that, their position was definitely not being questioned or under any kind of jeopardy, and you knew that even if they were to have a bad run, these are players who were still going to give you 2 to 3 seasons more because of how good they were as batters. And even if you say that this is a tough generation to bat in and that Shubman Gill's average is still justifiable, his overseas numbers are absolutely abysmal. This is where we take the example of someone like a Sourav Ganguly, who when he took over as the captain of the Indian squad had already achieved a lot overseas. He'd got 2 centuries in his debut series in England, he'd been the highest scorer in a test series against the Sri Lankans, and even in an ODI series where he took captaincy in 2000, he was the highest scorer. And the point we're trying to drive home here is that as a captain, especially as someone who's just a batter, it is important for you to be consistent, not just at home but also overseas, because otherwise you might end up in a scenario like Rohit Sharma in the final test match of that Border Gavaskar trophy where he had to drop himself from the squad. And here we are being extra critical of Shubman Gill's form in Test cricket because he has no history when it comes to captaincy or leadership. Even if we take the example of someone like a Mahendra Singh Dhoni, at the time at which he assumed Test captaincy, he was by no means the best batter in the Indian squad, but even then he averaged 33 coming in at number 6, number 7. He was also India's wicketkeeper and he had already won the T20 World Cup. So for someone like that, it would make sense to give them the captaincy because they have a proven record of leadership abilities.
On the flip side, someone can always argue by saying that if Shubman Gill is the captain, that added responsibility will only make him better, and we've seen that in the past with the likes of Virat Kohli, who scored a lot of runs in his test career as a captain. Except the difference is all of these guys had scored runs already before being the captain, and Shubman Gill here is struggling to do that in the test format. Now that begs the question, right? If not Shubman Gill, then who? And this is where we turn to Jasprit Bumrah. Not only is he the best fast bowler in the international circuit right now, but he's also the best player of the team. In the 45 test matches that he has played, he's taken 205 wickets at an average of just 19 and a strike rate of 42. Even if you look at his overseas records or records at home, all of this is outstanding. He is very comparable to a Virat Kohli in the batting lineup where he leads from the front. He's the bowler the team can go to at any situation to make sure that he brings the wicket to the team. He's the kind of bowler who will put his front foot forward and make sure he attacks regardless of if the team is in the back foot or not. And it's no coincidence that 11 out of 13 of his 5 wicket hauls have resulted either in a win or a draw.
Jasprit Bumrah is also someone who's already been a captain for the Indian side in the test format. And we've seen him do fairly well with a victory in that first test match in the Border Gavaskar trophy where nobody was really giving a chance to India, and from there he was able to take a relatively young squad, marshal his troops and get victory in that first test. He's also done fairly well with his own bowling while being a captain. In the 3 test matches that he has been a captain for the Indian team, he's taken 15 wickets with an average of just 16 and a strike rate of just 30. In the 3 matches that he has been a captain for India, he has won 1 game, that was in Australia, and he's lost 2 games. Keep in mind that these were by no means easy games. One of the losses came in England and the other in Australia. And so one thing is definitely clear is that Bumrah has plans in mind and he has a strategy to go with his captaincy. But not only that, he's also someone who's already proven that he can perform even under the pressures of captaincy.
But of course, Bumrah being a fast bowler and the injuries that he's come up with in the last couple of years makes it a risk for him to be the Indian Test captain because he would likely have to play every match in this test cycle. Something that we did see in the first test match was Jasprit Bumrah being the captain. He sometimes struggled taking himself off from the spell. He would give himself those extra 1 or 2 overs that he would usually not do if someone else was the captain. But here's where we break down the argument of how Jasprit Bumrah might have to play every single test match. There can be situations where he can sit out of the 4th or the 5th test match where someone like a Shubman Gill, who is being nurtured, who is anyways the vice captain, can step up and then become the captain of the side for those 1 odd test matches. It's quite similar with what Australians do. Of course, Pat Cummins' vice captain is Steve Smith, who already has a lot of experience, but this is also how you can get Shubman Gill to get that captaincy experience in the test format before he becomes a permanent test captain. Remember, Shubman Gill is only 25, and even if he doesn't get the captaincy this cycle, 2 years down the line, he's only 27. He still has a lot of years to be the test captain. Rationally speaking, the only thing stopping the Indian team management from making Jasprit Bumrah the captain is his own preference. If he doesn't want to be the captain, that's when we look at other players from the team.
And this is where we come to the other option for a captain for the Indian Test team, and that's KL Rahul. Now, KL Rahul too, just like Jasprit Bumrah, has experience being the captain of India in the Test squad, but he's also been a captain for this Indian team when it comes to the white ball setup. KL, of course, has been around the Indian circuit for over 10 years, and he definitely has all of that experience and all of that temperament and all it takes to be a captain for the Indian side. In Test matches, he's been a captain for 3 Test matches where he lost 1 Test match in South Africa, but he won the series against Bangladesh, winning those 2 Test matches. In ODIs too, he's done a decent job, winning 8 out of the 12 matches where he was the captain. KL right now has a lot of things going for him. He has a solid temperament. He is currently in good batting form and seems to be in a good space, and so it would be interesting if the Indian management look at KL as a proxy captain at least for this test cycle.
There are a couple of things that do not go well with KL Rahul, the test captain, and one of it is his performance with the bat as a captain. In the 6 innings that he did captain, he has an average of just 19 with only 150 under him. Not just this, but even tactically, there was a lot of criticism regardless of the result of the test match. There are a lot of people who talked about how KL Rahul is very defensive and he will have to be more proactive to try winning a test match. And we all know the story of KL Rahul getting a lot of chances, getting dropped and being picked back again. For someone who did open in the Border Gavaskar Trophy and was fairly successful, we need KL Rahul with the bat more than KL Rahul as a captain, especially going to England, where in the last time he did go to England, he did get success as an opener.
And that brings us possibly to the final sane option for a potential captain for this Indian test squad, and that's Rishab Pant. In the last few years of test cricket that India has been playing, Rishab Pant's name has been synonymous with success in the red ball format. Not only has he scored runs in India, but he's also one of the few batters in these last few cycles who's consistently been able to get scores overseas. He's got runs in England as well as Australia, and generally he does seem to be the crisis man for India in any tricky situation. In the 43 test matches that Rishab Pant has played, he has a batting average of 42, which is easily one of the best in the last 5 years. And Pant is not only contributing with the bat, he is also the wicketkeeper of this Indian test side, and so he generally has a good idea already of a lot of the plans that the bowlers are looking to execute. Keeping all of this in mind, and also the fact that he is a franchisee captain, it might be a right option for Indian team to look at Rishab Pant as a test captain. And Pant is someone who's also a very inspirational figure and someone who rallies his troops well, and this is something that we've seen in a lot of situations where when the Indian team is low in the field or when they're struggling with the bat, Rishab Pant is someone who's able to come in with his energy, very similar to someone like a Virat, and is able to take the team along with him. This is an extremely important quality in a captain, and this is something that comes in handy when the team is in a situation.
On the flip side, if you're following this IPL, you do know the kind of form that he's been in. Even if it's the T20 format, it almost seems like the pressure of captaincy is getting to him. Now, all of this is only speculative, but if Rishab Pant, the player, does not enjoy being the captain and the batter and then the wicketkeeper of the side, he then shouldn't be appointed the test captain, because you do want Rishab Pant to enjoy his cricket while playing for the Indian side. And it's almost the same point as KL Rahul. You want Rishab Pant, the batter and the wicketkeeper, more than the captain himself. The last name floating around in terms of who can be the next Indian test captain is Yashasvi Jaiswal. Of course, he's very young and doesn't have captaincy experience as of yet, but there are ambitions, and Yashasvi Jaiswal has been vocal about how he wants to be part of the leadership group. Now, of course, the Indian team management can be very creative and can do something out of the box, the same way the South Africans did with Graham Smith, where he was appointed the test captain when he was very young and went on to become the best test captain they have ever had. They could possibly do the same thing with Yashasvi Jaiswal, but only time will tell if the Indian team management is that creative enough.
This has been our video on India's next potential test captain. While a lot of us do know which way it is going to go, it is important to have this discourse, and let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. All of our links are in the description. Definitely give us a follow on Instagram. We also have a WhatsApp channel and an email newsletter, so if you haven't followed or subscribed there, definitely do that too. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.